So, have you ever really stopped to think about what makes a school truly great? We're about to dive into a brand new blueprint for schools in India that tries to answer that exact question. And let me tell you, it's a really ambitious plan that could honestly change everything we think we know about education.
But that really gets you thinking, doesn't it? It's a question every parent, every teacher, and probably every student has asked at some point. What actually makes a school excellent? Is it just about the grades, the fancy building, the teachers? It turns out that's a much more complex question than you might think.
You see, for a long time, the way India looked at school quality was from like 30,000 feet up, a real bird's eye view. We had these big macro-level tools to grade how entire states were doing. But what was missing was the magnifying glass, that micro-level view to help an individual school look at itself and figure out how to get better from the inside.
And that realization is really what kicked off this whole quest for a new definition of quality. The mission was to create a standard that could actually be used right there, on the ground, in every single school.
Now, this whole initiative didn't just pop up out of nowhere. It's a direct result of the big landmark national education policy of 2020. The NEP specifically said, hey, we need a whole new ecosystem for assessment, one that actually empowers schools from the inside out.
And the answer to that call is this, a massive blueprint called the Standards for Excellence in School Education. This is the document that's designed to fill that exact gap we were just talking about, that micro-level view. And here it is in the flesh. This thing was developed by the CBSE, and it is the official manual for making this transformation happen. And we're not just talking about a few suggestions here. This is a seriously detailed blueprint for every school to follow.
The thinking behind this is actually really powerful. This quote from the document says it all, right? You can't just fix one little part of the system and expect it to work. For real lasting quality, you need to have clear standards for absolutely everyone involved.
And this slide just perfectly shows what they mean by that ecosystem. A school doesn't just exist on its own, right? It's right there in the middle of this honeycomb, but it's supported by this whole network around it. The state, the district, curriculum councils, local training centers. The key takeaway here is that for the school in the center to do well, every single one of these other pieces has to be strong and working together. Okay, so this ecosystem idea is great, but how does it actually work in a real school? Well, let's look under the hood at the core mechanism, which is called the SQAA framework. You can think of this as the engine that's going to drive all that improvement.
So what in the world is SQAA? It stands for School Quality Assessment and Assurance. I know it's a bit of a mouthful, but here's what it boils down to. It's a tool for schools to give themselves a really thorough checkup. It's not some top-down report card designed to punish anyone. It's all about self-evaluation, reflection, and then building a real practical roadmap to get better year after year.
And what's great is that this whole framework is designed to be super objective, even benchmarked against global standards. But I think the real game changer here is its focus on being a continuous process. It's a cycle, you see. You assess, you improve, you assess again. It's not some big, stressful one-time exam.
Honestly, the absolute best way to think about this whole thing is like a fitness tracker, but for a school. It's constantly monitoring all the vital signs, pointing out where you can improve, and helping the school set and hit new goals. The idea is to build this culture of health and constant progress. So what is this fitness tracker actually, tracking? It breaks everything down into these 7 core areas of how a school functions. Now, what's really fascinating to me is how they're weighted. Of course, curriculum and assessment gets the biggest slice of the pie. That makes sense. It's a school's main job. But look at everything else. You've got infrastructure, human resources, leadership, and get this, one whole category is beneficiary satisfaction. That means the framework is literally asking, are the students and parents happy? Are they engaged? That's a huge shift toward a much more complete picture of what makes a school great. So, let's step back for a second. Why do all this? What's the point of all these fancy domains and frameworks and self-assessments? Well, when you boil it all down, it's about one thing: the student. This whole massive document, every single standard and guideline, is built to answer this one really fundamental question. What is the end game here? What are we trying to achieve?
And this is the answer. The whole point is to create this kind of student. We're not just talking about someone who can memorize facts for a test. We're talking about nurturing kids who are creative problem solvers, confident innovators, and caring, responsible citizens. I mean, these are the skills that are really going to matter in the future.
This quote from the document just drives that point home perfectly. The student is at the absolute center of this entire universe. Every single standard is just a different way of measuring one thing. How well is the school doing at creating confident, connected, lifelong learners?
So yeah, it's a huge, ambitious vision. It's a plan to completely shift the focus from just memorizing things to developing a whole person. And I guess the big question it leaves us with is this. If this is actually implemented the right way, could this blueprint truly redefine what excellence means for millions of students all across the country?